Hey there folks, JodoCast again, and this time I just managed to get my hands on one of the Star Lord Quad blasters. And yes, my friend, you called it. I'm going to do something crazy. Well, I'm going to attempt to open it up and have a look at the internals of it and see if we can't improve the performance of it, get a few more feet per second out of it. We'll do a nice paint job on it and what have you, try and make it look a bit sort of screen accurate and what have you, a little bit closer anyway. My usual procedure is to pop this thing over the chronometer and see just exactly what it's putting out in stock standard form first. I'm going to have to clear some space. I've been working on another Nerf pulse rifle, so let me get some of this business out of the way. And we'll get the chronometer in here. Set him up. Alright, now I'll try doing the two barrels that fire before you open the cowling. Okay, so I think it's pretty safe to say that this blaster is in the piss poor performance category. Super cool cosmetics, like I mean it is a great looking blaster. I love the spring open cowling type effect. I mean that is super cool. I love it. I'm loving it. But just highly lacking in performance. So I'll go about pulling it apart and we'll have a look and see if we can't try and upgrade some springs or something and see if we can't get a little bit more out of it. Which, you know what, to get a little bit more out of it, I don't think that'll be terribly hard. And we'll give it a paint job and make it look cosmetically nice. Alright, I'll be back once we've got this thing open and show you the internals. Okay, so taking this apart is kind of tricky. There's the two halves of your bottom cocking slide, the two halves of your top cocking slide, the two halves of your top cowl, two halves of your bottom cowl. The two barrel tips need to have screws either side. They need to be undone and taken off as well. One arm is attached to one of those. The bottom one here, there's a hole at the front which goes on a pin on the cowl there. There's a screw that runs through the middle of this arm which locks into place, which is this little locking mechanism here. And there's a pin, another pin that runs through there. So you have to loosen all these off. So I've done all that now. So now, in theory, it should open up, and I'm hoping that it won't just ping off bits and pieces everywhere. Okay, so far so good. Alright, so that's the top shell off. Okay, and what can we see here? You can see your plunger tubes with your plunger rods in them, obviously. Your dual barrels with a, I would say, a smart AR system in here, obviously. This is your release mechanism for the top and bottom cocking. Woo! Kind of don't really want to move too much out of place, but that obviously actuates this here. There's your cocking mechanisms back here. Let's just have a good look at that so that if anything goes awry or missing or we lose where it goes, we can revert back to this to work out where it goes. Now, okay, it looks like these little cylinder assemblies are sealed. Well, maybe not sealed, but they've got a back on them. So I guess we need to have a look and see if that can be opened up, and if there's the spring if there is a spring inside, and maybe what we can change it out with. Alright, I'll go about trying to lift these little sections out and have a look and see what we can do with them. I will be back in just a moment. Okay, so what I've ended up doing is I took the original springs out and stretched them to about the same length as one of the Alpha Trooper or what are they called? Retaliator springs. So I stretched it to about the same length as that, but it is a heavier spring. So at that length, I recompressed it down as small as it would go, like completely tight, and let it expand a bit. It expanded to fractionally less than that full length, but still seemed to have more pounds per square inch, for lack of a better term. Seemed to have more tension in the spring, so I ended up putting them back in. Now I've actually had to glue the back covers on to the cylinders, which essentially just look like slightly larger than Jolt cylinders. Same style plunger head as a Jolt and everything as well. So, well, actually, they're probably very similar size. So, I guess if we can get paces out of this that you can get out of a Jolt, then you'd be pretty happy. I've put more tension on the actual catch springs as well, just to make sure that they are going to be able to hold once it's cocked. So there's more tension on both of the catch springs. So that's what I've done internally. So now we'll go about putting it back together. You'll see the final paint job and what have you. And we'll give it a test fire, put it across the chronograph, and see if we've been able to make any gains in the FPS. Alright, I'll pop this back together and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, it's all back together. So you can see I've done a bit of a paint job on this. Done it with it's a charcoal, like a gunmetal grey, and silver. And I've done a little bit of dry brushing on the carbon fibre sort of areas to re-highlight those. I should have done inside the cow. You can see a bit of orange in the back there. I've missed a bit, but I can go back and touch that up later. Grey barrel tips, or the charcoal barrel tips, and away she goes. Alright, so that's what she looks like now. I worked out that you can actually flick the cowls closed with one hand, so you can flick them closed. So there you go. Alright, so we'll do a bit of a firing test with it, and then we'll put a couple of rounds across the chronograph and see what sort of FPS we're getting out of it, and see if we've been able to make any sort of improvement. Alright, I'll set the chrono up. We'll be back in one tick. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 6 shots through each of the 4 barrels. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. So the top of the top 2 barrels will be the first one. I'm going to fire the original 4 black elite darts that came with it, and then I'm going to fire just 2 elite darts that I have here. So we'll see how it comes up. Alright, so first shot with the topmost barrel. Alright, so that's 6 darts through our topmost barrel. Now I'll collect the ammo and we'll put another 6 through the second of the top 2 barrels. and we'll do the same with the bottom two barrels, starting at the top of the bottom two barrels. So this is shots through the top of the bottom two barrels. Alright, and now we'll move on to the final barrel, which is the bottommost barrel. Alright, so there we go, we can work out what the average was from each of the barrels. Alright, so this is your two inner barrels. And this is your two outer barrels. Alright, I'm not exactly sure how those FPS readings will stack up against the original non-modified readings I did, but I think it feels like there's been some improvement made. What I'd like to do now is I'll do a quick firing demonstration just so you can see what it's shooting like. The outer two barrels. So yeah, they definitely feel like they've got more oomph to them. So we'll have to check the specs and see what the FPS readings are on it now. But there you go. That's my Star Lord Quad Blaster mod. I think it's come up pretty good. I like the look of it, and it seems to be performing quite well too. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.